David Banner.
You know what I like? I'd like for you to say exclusive.
Exclusive?
Yeah.
Exclusive.
Why'd you want him to say that, though?
You know how they be doing exclusive, and I'm gonna have Corey to put the delay on it.
Oh. You talk about, man, nah, that's that. Man, that's some old DJ Clue shit.
Welcome back to the David Banner Podcast. My name is David Banner. Sally.
Yes, sir.
Scott Parker.
Yeah.
Let him punt. I swear we gon' run it back.
Regina!
Run it back. We don't
Wow.
Where's the BC powder?
He did that.
It's a quarterback sack.
I need something from that.
We gon' run it back. Run it
David
back. Run
Banner
it back.
Rhapsody,
Run it back.
Jammer.
We gon' run it back.
We don't
Dirtbag
fumble with the
Corey.
mic. Fuck that. Walk to pay. I got a team in the shot that's like the 85 Bears. They got 85 pistols and they ain't pointed in the air. So don't run with it, God. It ain't your fault. You gon' catch it. I'm pretty good with this pistol. I'm from Mississippi. I can't help it. I'm so selfish with this pig skin.
Regina,
Bustin'
can
at
you
the
do this?
pigs here. Mike Brown, Oscar Grant too. We should let the pistol sneeze at you. At
That's a
you.
little
And ain't no
lazy.
blessings coming. Just a whole lot of running. Yeah, I call the K Phillip cause I'm about
Can't
to
just
put
be
the
doing
drum in.
it.
What you talking about, Willis? Y'all hymen like Phyllis. I'm about to start busting. I ain't marching with them old folks. Just finger signs and cussing. Mike Dix can't tell me nothing. You put ropes around our necks like our throats with double dutching. And the bad thing about it, man, we didn't do nothing, man. Damn. It sounds like Satan. We running through this hell like we all want to Peyton, man. Daddy intercept the culture with a quarterback sack.
Let him punt. I swear we gon' run it back. Run it back.
Run it back, run it back. Yeah, we gon' run it back. We don't fumble with the mic. Fuck that, fuck that, fuck that. Yeah, it's a quarterback.
Corey, fuck that!
I swear, we gon' run it back.
Dirtbag, fuck that!
Run it back, yeah.
We gon' run it back.
We don't fumble with the mic. Fuck that, walk to pay.
Yeah.
A bullet.
Epidemic. It's either 5 or other niggas killing niggas. Ray Rice, Amber Rose, they know how to get it.
Gina.
Attention span to make an inch a man if you let it. Peter Pan said it, yeah.
Carpe diem.
This light work, y'all fade like the PM. I ain't taking back, lead at the limb. I live this for real, you only see it in your rim.
Good job. Dreams come. Why'd you stop it?
Cause I
Oh,
thought
he killed you.
I thought you was gonna keep going, Regina, and bust a little acapella.
Oh,
But-
Jay, sorry.
That's okay. We don't want to give him the whole song anyway.
All right, dang.
What's up? This is the David Banner Podcast. We back in this bitch.
Yeah.
How you feeling, Dirtbag?
Feeling good.
You good?
I'm great. How you doing, Banner?
We back in this motherfucking Motherfucking leader had enough time.
Nah, man, look, they had me on suspension. I set the bench, last time. This is the first time I'm back in 2020, but it's all good, though.
Just for Regina. Regina, you ready?
I'm ready.
Regina, you ready? Here we go.
Yeah.
Big
That
head,
was perfect.
mofo!
Praise the Lord.
Oh shit! Oh shit, son. Hey, did y'all miss us?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
They call her Judy Blair.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They call her Judy Blair.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They call her Judy Blair.
I'm gonna pull out my dick and put it all up in the hair. I should have said penis. I'm sorry. I should have said penis.
Shaft.
Shouldn't have said anything.
I should have said penis. Lee, what you been doing, man?
I've been chilling, man.
You ain't been chilling.
Yeah.
What you been doing, bro? What you do the last 2 weeks? We've been out 3 weeks.
I've been absent all year.
He been on the sideline.
Y'all had me on
going,
the.
"Coach,
You
put
came
me
out.
in.
I been on the sideline,
Coach, where's the game?
bite my mouthpiece,
Oh man.
waiting to get in.
So like, y'all know I had like a life-threatening situation happen in my life, and Lee was like, "You over there just laying in the bed."
I did not say that,
Yes,
man.
you
He's
did,
so
bruh.
rewording that. But he's so rewording
He was like,
that.
"Why don't you get up out
Listen,
the bed?"
this is what I said.
ass.
All I said. No.
Hold on, Scott.
Yo,
Yo, lazy
lazy black
bleeding
ass.
Yo, lazy bleed.
That is not what I said.
Concussed
ass.
Yeah.
Reconstruct
Listen,
your
all
sentence.
I said was, while you out, just give me the ball. I can put up the shots. You know what I'm saying?
That
He wanna
ain't- that
he
ain't
wanna get
quite
in the
what you
game with
said.
the bad ankle.
Get me in the game, guys.
Just let me, put me in the game, man. That's all I was like. Just
He
let me
said,
get
yo,
run
he-
the offense through
He
me
said
now.
with your one arm, concussed, bleeding,
Lazy black.
brain
ass.
trauma. I hurt my feelings, Lee.
No, it
That
didn't.
much hurt my
Airwave
feelings.
No, man,
wearing.
he said that he making that all I was just like, man, I got you. Just kick back and I put up the buckets right now. You see buckets on the table, don't you?
What?
Buckets.
You showing out?
Buckets.
Already.
So
Yeah, I am.
yeah, so I'm gonna tell y'all what he did that was smart though. And Regina's gonna talk. Well, I'm not taking away her fire, but we got a new shoe out, and Regina's gonna talk about it later on. But Salih did something that was really, really dope. And we had a interview yesterday, and it was like, yeah, man, y'all put it out for February. It's a Black History shoe. And I told the lady, I was like, no, that's what we do every fucking day. She was like, this wasn't for Salih was the businessman and put it out. And I ain't even peep it until she said that.
For real?
You remember I called you right
Yeah.
after. I was like, thank you, bro. That was dope.
Yeah.
Like, Salih held it. How does it feel to be a shoe designer, Salih?
I mean, it's cool. It's cool.
He ain't never happy with shit, man.
Yes, I am.
DM's way up though.
Nah, it's that, man. Ain't nobody checking for me on
What
that.
DMs mean? Dick mentions?
If that was the case, then that been up.
Okay. We have been. What's the word? I do have a concussion.
Hiatus?
We have been. Regina, what happened when you get saved and they dunk you in the water? What they call that?
Baptized.
Yeah, you have been baptized
Don't use
in the
word
waters
with
of SIS.
Man,
Nah, I've been
that's
baptized in
so
Lake
terrible. I wouldn't hear you
Minnetonka.
that word.
You don't like the word baptized?
I don't like it. In
Oh, no, my fault. I forgot.
No, put the mic so we can hear you. You don't like what? Tell us.
I wouldn't have given it to you if I know you're going to say it's baptized in the lake of.
No,
SIS.
my fault. It's purified in Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah, but no.
First, you must purify yourself in Lake
Listen, watch
Minnetonka.
this, Regina, because you always think we mean something
Man,
bad.
man, Regina, don't pay this dude no mind. Hey,
No,
listen.
he's not.
He is. I promise.
He is
we
ready
talked about
to
it.
accept white Jesus as.
Why do you keep calling
I'm
white
purified
Jesus?
in Lake Minnetonka.
Jesus.
I was listening to Prince last night.
Oh, Prince Minnetonka. Okay, Lake Minnetonka.
What were you
whatever.
doing to?
Huh?
What were you
What
doing?
song?
Here we are in this big
Sing. I want you.
Hey.
I was listening to that. Staring each other down. Yeah, I was on that.
Doo-doo.
Hey.
You won't be just as much as I want you.
Come on, baby.
Let's stop fooling around. Okay, that's enough.
Can I ski on your back and on your if she got it up.
Why she got
That was funny.
Nah. I don't do the girls with the little
Wax it.
Scott, what you been up to, bro?
Just celebrating Black History Month.
Okay.
Not really. If you think about it, Black History Month is for whom? To let white people know about all our sports and entertainers. And I would like to have a month where we look at slave revolt winners like
Crispy chicken wraps.
there you go. Let's look at Nat Turner.
Right.
Let's celebrate that. They make us glorify slave owners, George Washington. I read that Thomas Jefferson had over 1,200 slaves, but yet they got a monument of his ass up. We should celebrate some other folks like John Brown.
Say that name again.
John Brown.
No, the
John
one before.
Brown.
Thomas Jefferson.
All right. So you wouldn't let me say.
Mm-hmm.
So can we say, fuck?
Thomas Jefferson.
Hey, man, that's up to you.
I mean, you tell me how you feel.
I mean,
Fuck.
What if we had to?
How about we learn about John Brown?
What if we had to re-educate white folks on white people instead of us learning about ourselves?
Right. And the lies that they've told.
They lies
about
that they've
themselves.
told about everybody.
So we said that we're gonna talk to you all about this, but me and Scott was talking about doing a podcast about all the lies that we learned about. One of the things that's wrong is that white kids are also taught the wrong
the same
shit.
thing that we're taught. The wrong shit.
They're taught lies, and they walk around like they better than everybody else when they really don't know the true history. So they really living off the same lies that we living off of, but it happens to benefit them. I tell people all the time, white supremacy is genius
as long as you white.
as long as you white. You feel what I'm saying? Regina, what you been up to?
Chilling.
You been on the terrace?
on the rooftop.
Why do you always say that?
I don't know. I just
You act like
'cause I know that you like
there's nothing.
standing-
There's nothing else I can do.
I know that you like Why you don't talking to the mic? Can we get the mic so it can be over
Okay, here,
like
look.
this?
Is that better?
I can't hear
Jeez
myself no
Louise.
more, though.
Yeah.
You don't need to hear yourself. You listen to yourself all the time.
That's why I like
and you were
rambling.
practicing, so let's hear me.
What you mean practicing?
Oh, no, yesterday.
So I want to tell y'all something.
I'm back in the game.
Since
sorry.
Regina has all this power and she has the opportunity to represent our women like in a way that it hasn't happened before in life, but she chooses to be so humble and sweet as she is. Regina has really been taking care of me, y'all, while I've been going through this shit I've been going through physically, and she's really been looking out for me. And I had really bad headaches night before last, and Regina was like, I'm going to drive from North Carolina because she lives in North Carolina. That's really that far. She really don't live in North Carolina, but it's that far away.
It is far.
I'm going to drive down and take you to the hospital. And I was like, no. So why you don't have nothing to tell us about, we hadn't seen you in
Why
about
didn't
3
you let me
weeks.
take you to the hospital?
See.
They
Should
all
have gave
in-
his ass some ginger ale and some crackers.
See, when I asked him, let's ask some what?
Crackers.
No, you know what? Well, I ain't going to say.
Oh,
See,
yeah,
he be all
don't.
tough with me. He hit me up and say, yo, I'm like, dang, where you at? I don't mean it like that. I'm like, damn, nigga, would you tell me something was wrong with your phone?
I'm a nigga now?
No, listen, no.
Crispy chicken wraps?
No.
Crispy chicken!
Crispy
chicken and lettuce and a fat blood.
or tortillas.
Hey, listen, that's what he told me.
Y'all
I'm like,
be singing
I hadn't
y'all
even asked him.
falsetto
I
like
tried to
it's
be
good.
concerned, Regina. He hit me like, nah, I don't mean it like that. All right, cool.
What y'all talking about?
Y'all are so funny.
Go
He didn't even
ahead.
tell me.
Y'all so
I
funny.
did.
Y'all bros.
All right, so do this. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go off into our sections today, since letting y'all know how we doing, and we're gonna start off with the mighty Salih.
No,
and
we're not.
Why not? For some reason
Right.
this ain't
See-
playing.
Kim has
that?
the beat machine.
That was a curveball, correct? This dude here.
You know what happened? In actuality, what happened was I told them to make sure that they talked to you when you came in to see if your section was ready. And
Didn't nobody
That's
say
not exactly
anything to me
what
about anything.
he said.
What did
Don't
I say?
put that
The
up
Super
there.
Bowl just passed.
He
He
said
definitely
as
has
soon as
something
we
to talk
find
about.
out if Salih has one, who the fuck is we? We? Who has the fucking beat
He
machine?
can talk about the Super Bowl.
But y'all know my
I really
head
don't
hurt.
want to hear about it, but
I don't
No?
want to.
Okay,
I didn't.
let's
We was
go.
working. I didn't even watch it.
Well, we didn't actually. You knew that.
We
We
didn't
wanted
get
to
to
play.
see it.
We want to play.
Right.
oh, I thought you were staying. I didn't know you.
But I
came
was in the
back.
office with you yesterday morning, but I stayed.
Listen, that was yesterday afternoon. Let's get it correct.
Ooh,
Solid.
shit.
But we talked at 8 in the morning.
Phones work out of state.
We talked at 8 in the morning.
Late Negro.
But if I did leave out later, who would have
Just
booked my
forget it.
flight?
Just forget it. Let's sing somebody's song. Thanks, Scott.
Come on,
Hey, we supposed to be like this every time we get on this show.
What is, how, what is
Roll it up.
how you change the lyrics? Roll it up.
Yeah, roll it in the blood. Lettuce, rolled up in the blood.
Oh, I thought it was backwoods.
Smoking, however the fuck you want.
Mary.
Crispy chicken and lettuce, rolled up in the blood. You can eat it.
Yes, Scott,
or
really wanted to
smoke it,
sing.
whatever the fuck you want. Crispy chicken.
I bet you it's gonna be some singing on the guy box.
Black History Month, crispy chicken, get some chicken. Black History Month.
Mary?
Christmas.
I like that.
That was good.
That was a good one.
That was
a good one.
Shots fired.
Sweat check.
Sweat check. What do y'all think about the discussion about self-love and what do we call it? I guess they call it fat shaming. I don't like to use that term. But I'm seeing a lot of people saying, you should love yourself and be whatever size you want. What do you think about that conversation?
Ooh.
Do I get to go?
Yeah.
I mean, all that loving yourself, you don't love yourself that much if you want to fucking die fast. Just being honest. Like that shit killing you.
Solid for the win.
It's just being honest. Like you can't, how much you love yourself if you know that's fucking you up. You don't really love yourself.
Well, what
You can love yourself, but you should be open to changing your package.
Yeah, well, I think what ends up happening is what happens in America. America they don't care about the people who stay here, so they want to keep them unhealthy. They want to keep them consuming and consuming and consuming.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's cool for you to love yourself where you are,
Right.
and we're not telling because the polar opposite of that is trying to make everybody so skinny.
Right.
You know,
which is unhealthy
which is unhealthy also,
Right.
if that isn't naturally where you're supposed to be.
Right.
What we want people to do is be happy and not
And
allow
healthy.
people to be content and being in a place where, because I give you an example with me. I look damn good. Like, Tommy Nova,
Here we go.
do a clip.
All three cameras on that.
Where is it?
Chapstick.
But
He is so wrong. You, Scott, I cannot. Scott.
Now, what
Y'all are so funny.
my take, because I get asked this question all the time, and I got to be careful in how I answer it, because there's sensitivities on all sides of it. But I will say that I think the self-love piece and the health piece are two separate conversations.
Right.
So if you want to talk about health, I just want to share a few facts about being overweight that people should be informed. Be whatever size you want to be and love yourself at whatever size you want. Just understand that increased weight comes with a certain amount of risk for heart disease, cancer, diabetes. I mean, the laundry list of conditions that you put yourself at risk for is long. Will everyone who's overweight get these conditions? No. Just like cigarettes. Will every single person that smokes cigarettes get lung cancer? No. But you increased your risk dramatically.
you know what the odds are.
Yeah, the odds increase that you're going to die early from that. So just make an informed decision. But I think if you're talking about loving yourself, that's a whole separate thing that we got to discuss, but it doesn't have anything to do with health. And we should be able to talk about health without being sensitive.
But what I was going to say was, before we got distracted, it's like, just like with me, I look like I'm healthy, but in actuality, you know this about me. Whenever I'm over 230,
Everything starts declining.
Blood pressure
goes
man,
up.
high blood pressure goes up, sleep apnea goes up.
Right.
But when I'm below 220, I'm off of the pills. I sleep good. So in actuality, a lot of women are always tell me like, "Ooh, we like you thick." Like, "Ooh, like we need you to stay there." And I'm telling them like, "What? What happened? Tell me." They do. They don't. What?
He said, ooh, I like you thick.
Ooh, I like you thick.
They do.
Thickums.
Yeah.
But we have to
but I'm
think
not
about what
healthy
that
right
person's
there.
really saying.
Right. And
I
with
like you at a weight that puts your health at risk.
Right, and you can die.
It works
Early.
for me.
Yeah, you
That's
die
not
early.
what they mean.
That is what they mean, but
No,
they don't know it.
they don't know
It
the
just means like more
situation.
cushion for the pushing on
No,
you. That's all.
but having that means I'm gonna die. Is what I'm saying. That's just like really when we look at. I was telling somebody when we look at commercials about food, like with fast food restaurants, we really like go kill all the cows. We don't know that we mean that, but in order for you to get that hamburger, all the cows got to die.
A couple rats and some other shit too.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
my
funny. That there's snakes and rats and
yeah,
beer.
Yeah, all of that. Right.
But finish.
Right.
You about to go into the self-love part though.
Well, I mean, the self-love part isn't really my area of expertise, but I will say that everyone should be loved and should be able to wear what they want to wear and do what they want to do without fear of repercussions of people fucking with them. But that will come with certain risks. So I just think people should be aware. And your high blood pressure, you don't have to have any condition, but if you're overweight for a long period of time, you can develop heart failure and just die just like that. The chances increase. So people tell me, well, I'm this size, but my blood pressure's normal. Today,
Yeah.
but you're putting yourself at higher risk for all kinds of shit if you continue to carry extra weight for long periods of time. The body's not meant to do that. And you don't see, when the last time you seen a 90-year-old person that was 300, 400, and 500 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
They don't live that long typically. It's a very small number. You know what I'm saying? We just need to be mindful of that.
And
are you pushing an unhealthy lifestyle by dressing or performing a certain way? I don't know. I do know that when you have increased weight, you have increased risk of dying early.
okay, now I know that we're about to go to Regina's section, but it felt so good
Let's do it again.
the first time. Crispy chicken
They're always mocking me.
lettuce wrapped up in a blunt. You can smoke it or eat it, whatever the fuck you want. Crispy chicken and lettuce in a blunt. You can smoke it or eat it, whatever the fuck you want. Crispy chicken.
Y'all can put chicken and lettuce in a blunt.
Dance for it,
With
nigga.
your big lips. You don't know what they talking about? Gon' step, gon' rob something, gon' shoot somebody.
For a chicken sandwich. For the chicken sandwich.
Stop standing outside of KFC
For
waiting
vegan
for
food.
a fucking vegan chicken wrap. Shit.
Boy, y'all hardcore up in this joint.
Let me tell you Regina.
I'm so proud of you.
She knows
All about hoes.
Oh, Regina. Oh, she's gonna tell you
All about asses.
Yeah. Regina. On these motherfucking hoes.
She knows.
All about hoes.
Baby. Let me tell you.
And you know what she knows about? Different hoes
in this house.
and different
Some hoes
area
in this
codes.
house.
Different
Hoes in this
hoes
house.
and
If you
different
see 'em,
area
point 'em out.
codes.
There's some
Different
hoes in this house. If you see those in this house, it's some hoes in this house. 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 Beat that pussy, beat that pussy. Hoes in the house. Beat that pussy, beat that pussy, beat that pussy.
Percolate.
We just went through 3 different types of music.
Unrehearsed.
Wow.
Put the Ewings up on. Put the banner Ewings up on
I
her,
don't
Regina.
have time for these shenanigans.
You are so fly.
So today we're going to talk about in the culture thread.
And although
It's a
that's dope what you
business
doing,
and a
we do need you
fashion.
to get close to the mic.
I don't want to be close to the mic. 'cause
Okay,
you guys
work the
make
shit
me
out of
mad.
Corey.
I got you.
Okay, Corey, I'm sorry.
You good. You
I
good.
love you, Corey.
We gonna make it work.
We're going to talk today about a company and a collaboration with a Banner Vision. Y'all see him. Woohoo! What do we call these, Lee? We know they're a Banner Vision, but do they have a name? Like, are they
Are they the Patrick Ewing
Blackfist?
Road?
The Road.
The Rogue?
Yes.
We don't have our own special name for them, though?
Black Fist Rogue.
Thank you.
You see it
That's
says
what
a
I'm
Banner
trying to
Vision on
say.
the back.
I said that already, you big head.
Motherfucker.
Hey,
Everybody
Corey.
heard that. Put motherfucker in there.
Yeah!
Corey.
Corey,
Take
Corey.
it right here, listen. Motherfucker.
I can't
Put it on the
get
end.
the
Hold on, I do it.
He said motherfucker.
Okay, back to the
Motherfucker.
show.
Look at how many names she has called Lee.
How many size?
Black
What size they start?
motherfucker
5
monkey.
to
5 to 16.
5 to 16. You can purchase them on EwingAthletics.com.
What size is that one?
What size?
This
Regina,
one is
4.3?
5. This is a 5. This is the smallest size. And guess what? It's mine. So please go out, support Black business and a Black designer.
Okay, before we go
Who's the
past,
designer?
I was just about
David Banner, Salih. Look
So-
at, did you see Salih?
I didn't say anything. What are you talking
Salih,
about?
actually, Salih designed that
I didn't say
shoe for our
nothing.
Salih, when you
company.
at Fashion Week in Paris.
No,
Boy,
man.
boy.
I do you- listen.
Salih, can I go with you to
listen,
Fashion Week?
Stop,
How can I
man. Listen,
submit
listen,
myself? I
listen,
wanna be your
listen,
security. All I'm saying is I'm doing
listen.
security.
Salih,
If you go to Paris,
David Banner,
if you go
Salih
to Paris,
Robinson.
I'm doing security.
If you go to Fashion Week, can I go?
if you go to Paris,
You got to be his publicist.
Me?
You the publicist.
Thank you.
all right, y'all. About to bring the guest out.
Oh,
It's time. Corey, do you want to start?
Yeah, I might as well.
All right.
You want me to introduce him?
Yep.
Dirtbag
Do you want to say his name first or say his name
David
last?
West.
All right. So David West was born in Teaneck, New Jersey, but mainly raised in the South. He played in the NBA for 15 years and won 2 championships with my Golden State Warriors.
What's your who?
Golden State Warriors.
What's your who?
The Light Skin Coalition.
Oh shit, Corey!
I call it like I see it.
Corey is made for this shit, y'all. All right, go ahead.
He went to Xavier University.
The white one.
Hey.
He's currently the coup of the Professional College League. David is an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and a youth coach. This is what his... He is most proud of being the best 5th grade basketball coach in the country.
Yeah.
That's David West, y'all.
And also we have my homeboy Levelle Moton. He was born in Boston, raised in Raleigh. He is a Team USA gold medal winner. He has 4 MEAC tournament championships. He attended North Carolina Central. What up, Ninth Wonder?
and was 1996 CIAA Player of the Year over Ben Wallace. Oh, he's stunned. Damn. Levelle, you put in there over Ben Wallace? Oh, shit, son. Shots fired. Shots fired. Damn. Okay. All right. He has professionally played overseas for 7 years, trained over 50 NBA basketball players, and was one of the top 5 winningest coaches of all time. He is currently the coach of North Carolina Central's basketball team. Coming up right now is David West and Levelle Moton. Woo! Oh, shit, son! All right, y'all. We're going to get right into this shit, man. We're going to get straight to it.
Let's do it.
All right. Mr. West, bro, tell me, and first of all, I'm going to start off with you, bro. I was telling you, like when I saw your tattoos while you were still playing in the NBA, I knew there was something different about you. Can you tell us about the tattoos and tell us what brought you to the level of consciousness that you have?
Oh, okay. Well, I'll say I appreciate you having me in here.
Oh, man, it's all first of all, you don't have a fucking idea what you about to be a part of.
All right. Hey, it's all good.
But hold on, wait, let me tell you. You had an opportunity if you choose to. If you want to be, it's totally up to you. I'm not stopping you. You can act like a black. And you can say cracker as many motherfucking times as you want to.
I hear you.
Motherfucking crackers in this. See, Levelle, you can't. What you trying to do? You can't do that.
The thoughts and opinions of this show.
But seriously, bro,
You gotta give Levelle a wrestling mask.
Parts
unknown, weight unknown.
What brought you to the level of consciousness that you're at right now? And how were you able to navigate having that and being in the league?
So I think it's really my upbringing. I tell people all the time, I was very fortunate. When I was younger, I didn't understand how fortunate I was, but I was born to older parents. And by virtue of having older parents, I had extremely old grandparents, meaning like my grandmother, who I had for 18 years of my life, was born in 1905. I didn't have a single grandparent that was born after 1924. So, and they all lived pretty long lives. Right. So the experiences that they shared with me as a child, really shaped my thinking at an early age. Dealing with police violence at the age of 8 or 9, up the street from my house, shaped sort of my worldview and started to, put these thoughts in my head. And then as I got older, I just went toward a greater level of understanding, started studying folks, started really trying to focus on what I had up top. I knew I had great physical gifts. I was wearing a size 17 when I was like 14 years old. I had, you know what I mean? So I just...
he said shit.
I'm just saying, like...
I be slanging this dick, don't get it fucked up, man.
I just knew, like, I had physical gifts, and I knew that there was going to be opportunities for me, in terms of the world of basketball.
Hold on, dog.
Crazy.
Welcome to my world.
Gene, I love you, girl. Crazy.
But, and then ultimately, man, it just, as I got older, I went to college, and I was really trying to defy this whole athlete narrative with just being an athlete and just being a masculine menial, someone who could just only do things with his physical body. So I took a lot of pride in learning. A lot of people don't know this, but I flunked out of high school as a senior because I didn't take care of my grades, earlier on. But I always had like this, this ability,
right.
But it wasn't until I really got into like African study, right. African scholarship, that I realized, like schoolwork became easy at that point. And it was
So it's crazy that you say that. When I was in college, I read this book that talked about or taught me that we created math and science, and that there was this teacher who taught a history class before every math course. And he had 100% black kids, and his graduation rate out of that math class was 100% because he taught his kids the Pythagorean theorem was on the wall, and literally Pythagorean came and copied down some shit that our people had up for hundreds of thousands of years, right? And from that point, I realized math is not hard. Like, we are math and we are physics incarnate. The things that we do physically, we defy nature within itself. Are there any books? Are there any, is there anything that you could tell people about that can start them on your journey that you read early on in your in you getting the consciousness?
Oh, yeah. So the first book that I read front to back was a book called Black Rage. It was written actually by David Alan Grier's father, who was a black psychologist. And it's called Black Rage, and it basically speaks to the point that Baldwin made, right? Like, to be black in this country is to be constantly in a rage. And it just talks about different examples of these feelings that we deal with, going into our daily lives as black people. Capitalism and Slavery by Eric Williams, who's from Trinidad, who, to me is like a must-read if you want to understand sort of the way that the Western world was formulated and the enslavement of African people. And then Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson, The Destruction of Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. And I could just keep going on, but those sort of started in terms of me just reading, getting a thorough understanding of where I was, where I needed to be pointed. And then ultimately it was having that knowledge and not being afraid of it that allowed me to navigate, the NBA, chart out a path for myself in the professional, sports world that, again, it was hard for me to find, people who were as, I guess, in the web as I was. But the brothers always respected me. I've always had great repertoire.
Because you had them hands.
Yeah, but I mean, I was able to, really, be able to communicate with people the right way. And I just felt like the way I was organized in my mind, and really being, I do have a degree from Xavier. But again, my college became easier, being able to, complete courses became easier because I was sort of in this self-education mode. You know what I mean?
So as much as I respect that answer,
right?
I know that people know my level of intelligence, but people also know that David Banner, a big muscular motherfucker, put them damn hands on their ass. So it gives them the opportunity to listen just a little bit more.
Right. I get that.
Did you and Stoudemire ever talk about books? Because I was really surprised when me and him met. Like, we had this conversation about books. He collects books like I collect books, and he actually gave me a book that I never saw. They don't even sell the book, and I was surprised. Did you all ever meet and get a chance to conversate?
No, we've never had a chance to conversate. No, but I do know. Stats got a bit of level of consciousness as well. Yeah.
Levelle Moton,
What's up, brother?
You were in the news earlier. One of your chess moves was in the news lately. Right? You said, well, let me make sure that I'm right. You were the first person to offer LeBron James' son a scholarship to go to a predominantly black college.
Yeah, I can't talk specifically about that kid, a particular kid, but there were some things in the news that did say we offered a basketball player, so we can't discuss that. Yes, sir, I did. What's up?
That's big.
Well, that was the reason that I actually brought you all here. Can I let the world know about our conversation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, who did you coach in high school?
I had John, I'm from Raleigh, North Carolina, with Dave and all of us, man. So, when I was younger, when they were younger, I had kids like John Wall, Dez Wells, Rodney Purvis, C.J. Leslie. All these kids used to come to my camp, too. So, I was like the big homie to them and just tried to mold them and help them and nurture them along the way.
Okay, so what Levelle told me, he was like, bro, no bullshit. John Wall was John Wall when he was in high school.
No doubt about it.
And he said a lot of times we as a people think that well, he didn't say this, I'm adding this. We think that white people's water is wetter. And by going to a white college or being taught under a white coach, you're going to get something that you couldn't get from your own people, when in actuality, and then you said shit, he was John Wall when he was 14.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
John's always been. You could see it, like I said, he was down at 10 years old.
Yeah. So like, what are some of your opinions, and what do you think are some of the ways that we can lead our people back to our establishments and being around our people in general?
I think the truth of the matter, man, is that it really starts with knowledge itself, right? Not only being a collegiate basketball coach, I had the opportunity to be a public school educator. And I went through a public school system. And y'all are probably like me, being as though you from, Mississippi. We had 300 pages in our history book. If you open up that history book only taught you, it's maybe 5 pages about black people. That taught you that black people made positive contributions in this world. And those black people they gave you maybe a paragraph of Harriet Tubman. Mm-hmm. They gave you Jackie Robinson. They gave you some Martin Luther King, maybe a page, but they didn't really tell you the truth about him. They just told you he had this dream. They might have gave you some Hank Aaron when he broke the baseball record, the home run record, and they might have sprinkled in a little Rosa Parks, but they told you she was a seamstress who was tied on the bus. They ain't mentioned nothing about her criminal defense background and her fighting on behalf of black people. So subconsciously what it does to young black kids is say, not many black kids or black people have had positive contributions in this world, right? So it's miseducating them.
Entertainment.
Absolutely. So now, even on the white side of things, it gives a white kid some arrogance that they probably necessarily shouldn't have because they're being miseducated as well. So they need to know about the Panthers. They need to know about Huey Newton and him having a PhD in social science. Like, they need to know all of these things. They need to be introduced to Malcolm and Brown versus Board and all of these things so you can get the proper education, because what happens is a kid grow up not feeling his self-value, his self-worth, right? And it carries over into everything we do. Now we're not dating black women because we don't feel self-worth in our black women. If you can't date a black woman, how you gonna support a black business?
Fam, you would change that for you. Bro.
Right. If you can't support a black business, how you gonna attend a black college? You follow what I'm saying? I got so much backlash over the question that you initially asked about a young man that we offered, who I can't mention by name, but you can. And a reporter called me and was like, that would be a game changer, but what do you think about the backlash? And I said, I don't care about the backlash.
What would the backlash be?
What could happen?
Well, there were some people saying, why would this kid go to a black college? You see what I'm saying? Like, people like, why would this kid go to a black college and he shouldn't go there? He should go to one of the major colleges, one of the blue bloods that we traditionally hear about, whether it's Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, or whatever. And I told the reporter, just simple, I said, my man, I said, in the year 2020, we have a black coach that offered a black kid a scholarship to attend a black school, and he's being criticized by black people.
Problem with that.
Like, think about that, man. Like, where are we at, for real? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy.
When in actuality, they didn't want us in their schools in the first place.
Absolutely. And now all of these schools that they're promoting and hoping that kid go to, because you see them on TV a lot of these schools, the arena is named after a white supremacist. A man who would not, oh my goodness, he would never, he considered you 3/5 of a person. He told you, like, I don't want no N-words playing on my team as long as I'm here. You follow what I'm saying? So it's knowledge itself, man, and we don't have that education, so we're making some decisions that's not in our best interest.
You think, can you speak to, really quickly, the importance of black kids attending HBCUs, athletes and students in general?
I think it's important, man, because we're talking about supporting black businesses. What people got to understand is college athletics, especially the revenue sports, football and basketball. Those are black businesses. The way I understand that football and basketball pay for everything else. The law school, the architecture school, everything. Every single thing. It's the front porch to that university.
Okay.
You follow what I'm saying? So even back in the day with Eddie Robinson and Grambling, Eddie Robinson had over 200 players in the NFL. Everybody talk about these great San Francisco 49ers dynasties with Jerry Rice, but they had another guy over there named John Taylor, who was at Delaware State. You know what I'm saying? So you had a black college wide receiver trio, or duo, for that matter. So
They
we
would line 4 up on the line and let them go.
Oh, that
there
was
you go.
Willie
West
Totten.
Coast offense. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's who we are. And we got to understand that it's important because it's who we are. And that was the alternative means of education when they didn't even allow you or want you on their campus. You know what I'm saying? So now it's frowned upon. And I don't know how we got to this point, man, but we need to bring that back.
David, let me ask you a question, bro.
Yes.
The main reason why I wanted to bring you here, bro, was because I heard, on the streets, bro, that you and some of your partners are trying to create a professional basketball league. Bro. How is that true?
Yeah, absolutely true. PCLeague.com. You want to check it out. What we're doing is we're working real simple, man. Like, I'm an anti-establishment cat. I feel like the established order and the established way of doing things in this society have been detrimental, to black and brown people. That has been, the verdict, I think, of the last, 400 plus years. And, we're constantly in a mode trying to correct things that have happened to us, not just in the last 5 or 10 years, but historically over the course of, like I said, 400 to 500 years. What we want to do is create a different avenue, a different channel, a different path, for college athletes, if they so choose, to pick a different path, a professionalized path that isn't so incumbent on, trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, which a lot of our guys are forced to do going into, some of the college situations. We see that kids now are going, 7,000 miles away to go play basketball for a year. So we're creating an opportunity for those guys, for guys who want to choose a professional path that is in, I guess, contradiction to what currently exists. Most of these young players, we're having a discussion outside, are not being prepared for real life steps. So what we want to do is we want to simplify their education, not devalue it, meaning that we want to use, community colleges, technical colleges, vocational trade schools, and those and online curriculum to give these guys tangible educations, meaning financial literacy, public speaking, media training, how to pick an agent, pick a financial advisor, brand yourself publicly. Those are the things that we're trying to implement into our structure. It's new. Obviously it's going to be a challenge, but it's something we're up for because, again, we know that the established way has been detrimental to us, and we've bore the brunt of negative impacts in terms of the established way, right? When you look at the kids that are disproportionately affected by miseducation, disproportionately affected by, all of the things that we deal with in our daily lives, it's us. We bear the brunt of the responsibility, and people put on us to correct these things. So just in my, in my own mind, it was an opportunity that was brought to me about a few years ago. I learned about it. I wanted, it took some time to learn the guys, learn the situation, and we've just been working toward it ever since. I'm just one of these people that naturally feels that, we've got to constantly challenge what we're being fed and constantly challenge systems that are in place, particularly if the outcomes are disproportionately negative toward us.
Well, one of the things that I work with Mo Williams a lot.
I know Mo. That's my guy, man.
We worked with camps in Jackson, Mississippi. And he really impressed me, and he taught me that there's so many problems that a lot of the black athletes have before they even step on the court. Whether it's from an education perspective, whether it's from a mental perspective. And his camp actually focused more on those things than it did basketball. The thing that he would put his basketball players, both male and female, through before they even stepped or touched a basketball, I was so impressed. He would bring me, he brought me in 2 years ahead of time to not just talk to them about money management and things like that, but literally about who they are. Right. And I was just so impressed. And a lot of these things I didn't know. And a lot of these white establishments are just throwing our children into sports and not focusing on and dealing with any of those things. Because I'll tell you what happened to me. And I found that this was happening in LA. And I don't know if this happens with sports or not, but I exposed something that a lot of the managers knew a lot of the accountants who knew, and they were running all of the black. They were running all the black entertainers through this circle. And of course, since you don't have a lawyer that is against or doesn't work with the accountant and the manager, they were all running. And in actuality, I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he would want the information out there. But like, he was making so much money that he didn't figure it out. And I figured it out because one of the black people that worked in the company was like, yo, bro, I know that you conscious. You need to know this, that, and the other. I said, well, I left, and this artist is probably one of the biggest artists on the planet. And 2 weeks later, he left. And I went to him. I was like, yo, dog, why'd you leave the management company? He said, because I know if something was going on and you left, I know what kind of guy you are, then I dip. But I saw this ring that they were just sending black artists through. I personally think that the history and explaining to these kids why it's important for them to support each other, because the hard thing that me and Lee was talking about is it's sort of hard to tell a kid who has nothing that they should sacrifice one more year, or they should sacrifice 2 more years for the greater good of us all. Although we know that that's better, what are some of the things that we can do, like right now, to bring our kids over? Because one of the reasons why I do the podcast the way that I do, a lot of people say, why would David Banner do a funny-ass podcast? I say, because these kids who are on the other side feel like sometimes they're being screamed at. And sometimes when they don't have the level of information or knowledge that you have, when you talk down or you talk to them in a manner that they're not used to, they become intimidated. So I was trying to find a way that people could digest the information. What's a way, and this is a question for both of y'all, that we can give this vision to young black kids who may not have, anything and feed the future to them?
I personally think, number one, we have to be truthful. Like, right, if it's medicine, you have to feed it. They have to get it. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's different types of ways to communicate that, all right? What you're doing on your podcast, what Master P is doing, what Dame is doing. Like, 20 years ago, people thought Dame was crazy. Now it's all coming to fruition about this ownership. What Tyler Perry's doing. All of that plays a part because we are the product. We are the flow. Let me ask y'all this question. Like, black kids have to understand that they are the product. Nothing moves. They are the product in basketball. They are the product in football. They are the product in hip-hop. They are the product in just society as a whole.
In America, we've been the product. Right, there you
go. So that's just how it goes.
First product on the stock exchange.
Right, there you go. So, like, let me ask y'all this question, and just feel free to answer. Like, do y'all know, to this day, the highest grossing, the number one rated, most watched basketball game in the NCAA history? Do anybody know that? 1979, Michigan State versus Indiana State. And it really wasn't about Michigan State and Indiana State. It was Magic versus Bird. This is 1979. We ain't even have cable in the hood. You know what I'm saying? We ain't even have a TV or color TV, but it's the most watched basketball game in this country. Like, let me ask you this. Do you know the highest grossing sports movie of all time in America? Blindside, right? With the black dude. And the second highest grossing sports movie of all time is Rocky. Like, Rocky was based off, I think his name was Chuck Wepner, and he fought Muhammad Ali. So that Apollo Creed character is really Ali. They needed Ali to come in and be the antagonist, and now that movie has taken off and had 5 or 6 sequels to it. You follow what I'm saying? Like, before pay-per-view, the most watched boxing match of all time was Larry Holmes versus Jerry Cooney. And they promoted that. Don King promoted that as the great white hype. You follow what I'm saying? So my point is, it's the elephant in the room, but the black folks and the black people have always been the product, and that's what we have to understand. So you don't need to sign a bad record deal anymore. right? Because you don't need them to distribute your product. You have that, and you have ownerships in all of those things. You follow what I'm saying? So just being truthful and educating these guys on different platforms, because it's not going to be one person that saves it. It ain't going to be you, me, Dame David, Master P, or whoever else. It's going to have to be a collective. And they're seeing that. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I would say to probably what I would start with for young black kids in general, and I learned this from Dr. John Henry Clark, is every morning, right, you get up. Years ago, I would go into juvenile centers and speak to young brothers incarcerated. And I used to do that simply because a lot of those kids, and I've got family members that are incarcerated, friends that are incarcerated, you get those letters, and the first thing in the letter that you get from somebody locked up is that sense of forgotten, right? They feel like they've been forgotten. They feel like they've been left. And we are born into that feeling, right? So for young kids, I tell the brothers in prison, I tell any young person that's listening to me, look in the mirror and find something that you absolutely love about yourself, first and foremost. And once you do that, then you have a place to stand and a place that you're unwilling to compromise from.
That won't be hard for Banner.
I love me.
But again,
the rest of us might struggle.
That's something for us because we've been taught. Like I talked about it when I was younger. Like my body grew weird. I had big ass feet, these big ass hands, but I didn't grow till I was 16 years old. Right. So I was a 5'9", 5'10", 5'11" joker walking around with a size 17 and these long arms and big hands. You know, I remember I had my tooth knocked out when I was a freshman. We couldn't afford to get my tooth fixed, so I'm walking around with they used to call me open window tooth. I got my tooth knocked out because we couldn't, you know what I'm saying? My family couldn't afford to get my teeth fixed. So I'm walking around a whole year in some change with a big hole in my mouth, confidence at the, you know what I'm saying, at the gutter. But it was like, I heard this, and it was like, I'm gonna find something. So the very things that I used to feel ashamed about, I started loving and embracing about myself.
I did that with Mississippi. I knew that a lot of people were not proud to be from Mississippi. So I went and found all the things. And I knew that Mississippi wouldn't support me if they didn't love themselves.
Right.
So the first thing I did was make everybody be proud to be from Mississippi. Then I knew once they were proud to be from Mississippi, then they would maybe consider loving me.